All right, the High Spot Podcast. I am Jeff Martin alongside the trendsetter, Bryan Burga. We are joined by Sawyer Fulton, formerly of WWE NXT, former member of Sanity. First of all, welcome to New Jersey. This is your first time in Jersey.
Yeah, this will be my first pro wrestling match in New Jersey. I've been here before. I think we stayed in like hotels and stuff when we wrestled in New York. But I'm excited to cross this bridge here, get another state off my list.
And what are your impressions of Jersey? What's one thing you notice?
That is a lot colder than Orlando. First and foremost, that's probably the most important thing I've noticed. No, it's pretty cool. I've enjoyed my time here so far. Eaten way too much. Had a good time at a Comic Book Jones comic shop up on Staten Island. So it's been a pretty good day.
So you actually had pizza today, and was it Jersey pizza?
Staten Island pizza.
Okay, so
Brothers Pizza on Richmond Avenue.
Yeah, really good.
Oh,
How you outate the promoter?
Oh, all I'm hoping is that in my match tonight is that he doesn't figure out how much pizza I ate and that he doesn't punch me in the gut.
Oh, God.
Because if I throw up in the middle of the ring, I'm going to be, very disappointed with myself.
Talk about leaving your mark, though, in the ring. Seriously, doing it that way, though.
Yeah, that's a great way to get invited back, huh?
But, Sawyer, looking forward to the main event, something I've always wanted to ask talent, I'm always find this interesting, is that, starting off, when you go out there and the mindset is to prepping and coming in here and doing stuff. Now, it's one thing, obviously, doing it for WWE and going and now doing it here on the independents is another thing, so you're kind of broadening your horizons there. What's the mindset when you get prepared for events like this? Is it a lot of nerves, jitters, more anticipation, anxiety, wanting to get things started?
So, right now, I'm great. I'm full of food. I got a lot of energy. My energy drinks are running pretty well through me right now.
Yeah, of course.
Me as a talent and as a performer, about the time that the first bell rings for the first match is when it'll start setting in for me, and I start getting real nervous. And it's always been me. Even when I wrestled in college, if I was wrestling a guy I know I've beaten 100 times and I know I'm going to have no problem with, I still get, you get those nerves. To me, it just shows that, you're ready and, you're trying to prepare yourself and you care about what's going to happen, tonight. So, for me, a big thing for me is just overcoming those nerves and making sure you're properly stretched out and warmed up, especially in a cold climate like this. And that's pretty much my mindset going into matches is just staying warm and keeping myself confident.
Here's my question. When you wrestled for NXT, you wrestled in smaller venues than you will be here tonight. Do you like that kind of atmosphere, or do you kind of like maybe, taking a dab in arenas? What kind of atmosphere do you prefer being at? Is this more cozy, more comfortable for you?
So I think there's a lot of positives to both, right? So being in an atmosphere like this or like a lot of the smaller places we wrestled in NXT, right? Everybody is working on developing themselves as wrestlers and becoming better people and better wrestlers. So there's a lot of matches that happen on live events that are absolutely astounding that no one's going to get to see unless you show up. Yeah. Like tonight, whatever happens in my match and however good it is, the only people who are ever going to get to experience that are the people that actually come to the show tonight and be part of that. And I think that's sort of the magic, no pun intended, but the magic of wrestling in a smaller venue like this, or how NXT was, and you really get to experience a side of wrestling that you don't really get to see in the arenas. Now, when you're in the arenas and you have thousands and thousands of people, it's a whole different animal, right? That adrenaline and the cheering and everything, you literally feel people yelling at you, and you there's a whole different energy to everything. So I think it's definitely a different positive and a completely different vibe when you wrestle there as compared to here. Here, as you said, is a lot more intimate, but it's good. I like being in front of the people. I was born to wrestle. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. And tonight at Pro Wrestling Magic, I'm going to show everybody who shows up tonight exactly why they made the right decision to bear this cold weather and come out here.
What's one thing you can say that you've taken from NXT that you're going to use it now as you are taking a chance on yourself now in 2018? What's one thing that you've learned that you're going to take in the ring here tonight and just on your journey the rest of the year?
It's a good question, man. I think a big thing through NXT is that you just have to be prepared for whatever comes your way, and you're not always going to be, you're not always going to be ready for the hand that you're dealt. But you got to learn how to play those cards. And that's exactly, what I've been preparing myself to do and exactly what I'm going to do. My opponent tonight, EC Negro, I know almost nothing about. I've watched a few matches on YouTube, and I'm trying my best to study him leading up to this. But I've never met the guy in person. I don't know anything about him. I've never tested his strength physically. When you're in NXT, there's a lot of ability to know who your opponent's going to be. You see them working out. You see what they do in ring. You watch them practice. Here, this is a whole different animal. So I think, one thing that I've prepared myself with in NXT is being ready for anything, and that's going to come in handy tonight.
Now, being ready for anything is what's exciting about 2018 is that Jeff and I talked about, anything can happen because that ability to have things like unpredictable, you can't really predict things. 2018 seems to be such a huge boom, picking up the momentum of 2017. With that being said, now that you're kind of going out and betting on yourself and promoting yourself and not having necessarily anybody else do it for you, how important is social media nowadays from the mere fact that we talk about it, how like now it seems like the best time if you're in this business or in any business to use social media to your advantage. So how do you use that to utilize your skill set so you can get in touch with the fan base?
So one thing for me is I never took advantage of Instagram while I was in WWE. And looking like hindsight 2020, I regret that completely. I just, I didn't have that ability. I didn't want to share a bunch of pictures. I didn't want to do anything. But now, like, that's a whole avenue of being able to reach out to people that I'm lacking. My Twitter has over 30,000 followers on it. So that's really good on getting the word out about where I am and what I'm doing. But now I have this whole thing that I could have been building in NXT that I failed myself upon. I'm working better on building it now, but a lot of stuff, like, I live in Florida. I don't live up here. So the only way I can promote to anybody that lives in this area or the surrounding area is all I can do on social media. And that's it. That's all I have at my disposal. So really, you're in anybody really on an independent circuit, like, your success depends on your ability to connect to your fans. And right now, connecting to your fans means having big social media accounts.
When you were released from NXT, for example, Drew McIntyre, when he got released from WWE, he kind of, got upset. They didn't know what to do next. Just the mindset of yourself. Did you pick yourself right up and be like, all right, I got to get myself back out there because, you know what, I need to, stay in this business, stay relevant? Or did you take that time and, like, reflect on what kind of went wrong or, something you could have done better? What was your mindset maybe a couple days after you were released from NXT?
It's always kind of a shock and kind of hurtful losing your dream job. Yeah. I was in a great place in my life, and it kind of just came all crumbling down. But there's no sense in looking at it as a negative, and there's no sense on being salty or being angry, because that's not going to lead you anywhere. No matter how angry I get or mad that I lost that, that'd be looking at it wrong. All that is opening up new doorways to go out and experience more things. If I was still with WWE, I wouldn't have a chance to be here tonight. Yeah. If I was still with WWE, I wouldn't have the chance to make it on my own and to do things the way that I truly feel I want to do them. I have nothing holding me back now. Not saying that WWE was holding me back, but it's on me now, and I can go and I can do these things. There's so much in this world that I want to accomplish that I don't think I could have accomplished within WWE. It's always been one of my dreams to travel to Japan and live there and actually be a part of that culture. I've been taking Japanese lessons and learning all I can about it, and that's something that I have the ability to do now. Knock on wood.
They have a great Japanese restaurant there, by the way. I don't know if you heard it's TGI Fridays. So,
yes.
So I hear the food is great there. So I think
really your New Jersey Japanese cuisine there.
Yeah, yes, exactly. If you get a sponsor, you don't have to pay for anything. They pay it all for you. Right.
If I could get a sponsorship from TGI Fridays, I would be so happy.
Well, speaking of Japan, though, what did you think about the events that led up to January 4th, Wrestle Kingdom 12? Did you get a chance to watch Jericho versus Kenny Omega and the build-up toward that? I mean, that kind of felt really inspiring from a fan's perspective. Wow, look at this social media buzz that we were talking about before, and look how they're building up to such a huge event.
They're doing exciting stuff, too, because now if they're going into U.S. eventually, that leads great opportunities for wrestlers like yourself.
Yeah, exactly, and they did such a good job on building that and making it a big thing. I don't know. All my friends and everybody I talk to are pretty much wrestling fans, and there was such a huge buzz about that match, and it's such a blockbuster match. And if you think about the time that it was built, it really wasn't built like too far ahead of time.
Oh yeah.
Like if you think about the scale of that match, it wasn't announced as far ahead as it could have been.
Like November-ish, I think.
Yeah, as compared to like you look at like a Mayweather McGregor that was going on for like a year leading up to it. And just the scale of that match and how well it's promoted and how quickly it was done is really amazing. But yeah, like Wrestle Kingdom all the way through was super impressive, and just like it's a joy to watch. I've always been a wrestling fan. It's, why I'm here. It's why I'm part of it. It's what drove me to become a professional wrestler. And sometimes it's good just to kind of forget that you're a pro wrestler and that what you've learned, and just sit back and enjoy the work of others who are doing what you love.
For example, now that guys like Cody took a chance on themselves, that they decided that, I'm just not benefiting from staying in WWE and not just picking up a paycheck. Guys like the Young Bucks now it's a revolutionary time now in wrestling. It's like a whole new movement now. Talk about something like that where you saw Cody's success and other wrestlers that are having success. And does that inspire you saying, hey, you know what, though? Like, the door is always open. I can always come back, but I just got to better myself.
Yeah, so around the time of War Games in NXT was right when I started realizing that they really weren't, I felt they weren't taking me seriously. And no matter what kind of ideas I pitched or storylines I wanted to go with or try, I really wasn't making any headway. And I talked to a few people that are close to me, Cassius Ohno and Steve Corino, about, wanting to leave and as you said, like betting on yourself if I wasn't going to be used at War Games. And Steve Corino was actually very against it. He wanted me to stay and work hard. So when the release happened, it wasn't, it was hard, I wasn't too upset about it. It's more just ripping off a Band-Aid. And I feel guys like Cody, Sami Callihan, who left to bet on themselves, and then guys like the Young Bucks and Omega and all these guys that could easily go to WWE if they wanted to and make a name for themselves and do a lot, don't have to. They don't need to make a living for themselves. And that's what's cool about, the independent scene
shirts,
right now.
You get a better deal on Hot Topic than you would from getting money or revenue from a T-shirt in WWE.
Yeah, and it's cool. As you said, it's a revolutionary time. And I hope to be able to get to a point that I can just sustain myself through wrestling and I don't have to worry about another job, and I can just live this life because that's what I want to do and that's what I'm working hard for.
One final one for me. Something about this business that always intrigues me too is that there's such a huge learning curve. I mean, people think you've been in the business for 5, 6, 10, 15 years and you're still constantly learning, as I'm sure yourself are. At this stage in 2018, it's one thing to always focus on your strengths, but also address your weaknesses. At what point do you feel that you still need to grow in this business? What do you see from yourself objectively, like, this is what I need to work on to be a better version of myself in 2018?
So for me, the whole, I don't want to say it's a new experience being on the independent scene, but it's a newer experience. When I first started in pro wrestling, I trained at a small school in Mansfield, Ohio called ASWA, under the living nightmare Jimmy Lee. And I was on the independent scene, but I was basically just showing up to shows and setting up a ring and hoping someone didn't show up so I could get a match. Yeah. And that's all it was. And I was just grateful to be around a ring. And now with my time in WWE and trying to make a living off of this, I have to learn how to network and how to sell myself and how to make a living off of this. And that's a whole new experience for me. It's something that I need to learn how to do better for myself. In the ring, being physical and being active and fighting and wrestling, that's all stuff that I've learned how to do with WWE. Now I have to be able to do the part that WWE handled for me, and that's finding matches, and that's booking matches, and that's promoting myself and getting myself out there and traveling and doing everything. That's a whole new road for me. But I'm excited to travel, and I'm excited to learn how to navigate those waters.
One final one for me, 2 quick ones.
No, Jeff, you said one. Come on, don't be selfish.
No. I know the pizza's setting in, so I got to wrap this up really quick.
I'm getting hungry too.
What got you into this business? What made you want to be a professional wrestler?
So, honestly, I don't remember the first match that I watched.
No.
I have like papers from like kindergarten saying that I want to be a pro wrestler, but I don't have memories going that far back.
Oh, okay.
I remember the only place I grew up on a small farm in Ohio, right? The only place in our property that you could even get the channel for wrestling was in my dad's barn. So my brother and I used to go out there and we would watch wrestling at night when we were supposed to be in bed. You know, we just climb out the window and go out and we turn on a TV that my dad had in his barn.
Rebellious times.
Yeah, right?
Should be watching wrestling. Should be sleeping.
Attitude era, right?
But there's a match. I have the date because it's an important match for me. Is it like December, I think of like 2002, something like that. And it was Shawn Michaels versus Triple H in Fort Worth, Texas, for the title. And, they're going back and forth as this huge match. Finally, Shawn Michaels hits a sweet chin music, and he falls backwards over Triple H. And, you get the 1, 2, 3. The ref raises his hand. Here comes another one, raises Triple H's hand because all 4 shoulders were down. And I think it's a return of Stone Cold at that time. So we were off on Christmas break, and I remember going back to school, and it was still actually bothering me. And I remember that's, in my mind, like that's the first time I remember being physically upset about something that's happened in professional wrestling, and I couldn't wrap my mind around it. And I went to school, and like I was complaining about it, and I was just thinking about it. I was trying to talk to my friends about it, see what they thought. And a kid from my school decided that he was going to break the news that, and maybe it was set up that way and it didn't happen exactly how I imagined. I did not take that too well. And actually the first Saturday school I ever received was punching a kid in the face for telling me wrestling was fake. And it was all because of that match. Yeah. So like, a lot of people ask me, what got you into wrestling? Like, I remember watching little bits as kids, but like the first specific match I remember was that, and just how much it impacted me as a kid of just being angry that something went the way I didn't want it to go.
Yeah. Do you find it funny you have a better appreciation of it now as a performer, actually in it, than a fan? You see it now from both perspectives?
Become a performer, like, it is both good and bad, because you can see it from that perspective, how much they had to work to be able to create that feeling,
that emotion that
you felt. But at the same time, it kind of robs you of that childhood wonder of, it's
like how the magic tricks performed in a way, how the illusions performed.
Once you see behind, once you see underneath the curtain, and once you see that, there's a hole in the back of the box, like it gets to you a little bit. And in a way, like, I still enjoy professional wrestling a great deal, but I enjoy it for different reasons now. I enjoy it for the physical aspect and how that emotion can be built, and how good guys like Shawn Michaels and Triple H are at making you feel every single thing that they do in the ring. And it just gives you a new goal and new perspective on what you need to be able to accomplish in the ring.
Well, again, my final one, and this is ending it all. 2018, you're starting out now on the independent scene. Who is the one name that you got to cross off your list first that you want to really are looking forward to stepping in the ring? Hopefully, your promoter set something up for you. Who's the one guy that you really want to touch yourself against?
So, I've made a lot of friends in WWE. Guys like Sami Callihan, Seth Lesser, Simon Grimm.
Okay.
Sorry, Josh Woods, Bull Dempsey. Like, I made so many friends, and I would love to wrestle them. But for me as a performer, I want to be able to establish myself as a big guy. I want to be able to establish myself as one of the top heavyweights in professional wrestling. And to me, those are guys like, Jeff Cobb, Ace Romero, Willie Mack,
Keith Lee.
Fallow. A second.
He was getting there.
Because you said, what's the one name you want to cross off your list?
You spoiled it.
Spoiled the surprise.
We were just talking about it too, showmanship,
yes.
Jeff. You just ruined it.
But, Keith Lee, to me, watching the way he moves and the way he wrestles, and I've always been impressed. I've watched his stuff on YouTube for a long time, and, I know a lot about him, and that's just one of those guys that, if you had to give me a name that I want to face, it would be him. Because
sign me up.
If I'm going to establish myself as a top heavyweight, I need to go after the top heavyweights, and to me, that's Keith Lee.
Wrestling Magic, make it happen.
Make it happen, and then reinforce that ring to make sure, because it's going to fall apart with those two. These two juggernauts.
Especially that pizza before the match. Definitely want to reinforce the ring. Sawyer Fulton, thank you so much for joining the High Spot podcast, man. Appreciate it so much. Hope you enjoyed Jersey.
Thank you so much, man.
And again, Sawyer Fulton's World. Where can I find you on Twitter?
Twitter, I am at Fulton World. Instagram, Fulton_World. I definitely need more followers, so please
check him out.
Yeah,
go.
I'm
doing it right
some
now.
more on that. You can also find me at prowrestlingtees.com/Madman Fulton. And as far as matches and booking engagements go, you can email me at bookfulton@gmail.com.
Sawyer Fulton, ladies and gentlemen, excited for his match here tonight. The man, the myth, it's his world. Sawyer Fulton.
Can't wait. Thank you, man.
Thank you.